Hey, welcome to Guided by Faith. I'm your host, Jay Holland. This is the last week of May. For many of you, it's the last week of school. I hope it's the last week of school, or you're already out. It's the end of a season, right? And so whether you're in school or you're in the work world, the end of May seems to be an end of the season. Like things start to change. You're really looking forward to the summer, hopefully. So we're going to take a week. The theme of this week is review and preview. So we're going to spend the first half of the week really kind of reviewing this past year, this past school year, and then previewing more so the summertime so that we can figure out how to best use our summer. And so a couple of the verses that I'll be talking about during the week, I think it's Psalm 90, there's a prayer in there, Lord, teach us to count our days that we may apply a heart of wisdom. Psalm 139 says, search me, O God, and know my heart. Try me and know my anxious thoughts and see if there be any hurtful way in me. And so we're going to apply kind of those prayers. Lord, help us to notice our days, help us to notice our hearts so that we become more like Jesus and we can use our days well. Today I want to just kind of share something that sounds counterintuitive, but it'll be perfectly obvious once I do. And that's, okay, so you just had a full school year, and even if you were a parent or whatever your work is, kind of the rhythm of the school year, right? September to May is a definite season. And so you just had another year of experience, but that doesn't mean that you're another year wiser. And that kind of pulls out the main point of today. Experience doesn't make you wiser, which I know like that goes against what we say all the time because, experience makes us wiser. Experience makes us better. Not necessarily. It should, but a proverb that I'm thinking of, like the dog that returns to his vomit, so is the fool who returns to his folly. There's some people that experience doesn't make them better at all. What makes you better, what makes you wiser, what makes you grow is not just general experience, it's experiences, individual experiences that you then properly evaluate to learn from. And so over this past year, you've had a tremendous amount of experiences and you have the ability to learn and grow from them. Or you can completely ignore them and then you really didn't grow. And so what I want to do today is just ask you a couple of questions that will help you learn how to evaluate your experiences. So human beings are really unique. I have a friend, Virgil Tanner, who's super smart, and he was the one that shared this with me. Human beings are very unique in the sense that we can experience the same thing 3 times. So when you go through it, you experience it. Then afterwards, you can kind of look back and review experiencing it again. And then you can experience it a 3rd time where you imagine being in the same scenario and doing it again. And how would you do it differently? And that's how we're really going to grow wise in our experiences. And so I want you to just think through and maybe like pick a significant event from this year, like something that just stands out to you. And I'll give you one because maybe you don't right now, but you'll see how it works. What's an event that stands out to you this year? Maybe it's something that was like really good, really monumental, or it's like, man, that's one of those that like turned out really poorly that I wish I could do over again. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do one of those. So when I look back at this year, what's something that turned out really poorly? Well, I mentioned it last week. When I was on spring break, I was walking the beach in California. It was amazing. It was beautiful. I was barefoot. I'm used to Florida beaches, which are just powdered sand, like good sand, bad sand, just sand, maybe a seashell, maybe a jellyfish. Well, the beaches in California are very different because they're on cliffs and there'll be rocks and there'll be boulders. And in this case, I was walking along barefoot and I got kind of back to like the beach area and I got distracted, by not looking where I'm going and looking around me. And then I kicked this super solid rock boulder that was like sticking about 3-4 inches out of the ground. And I broke my big toe on there and it hurt so bad. It's been months now and it still hurts. And it's like really changed what I'm able to do. So I experienced it. All right. And I realized like this was a very negative experience for me. I'm trying to make the best out of it. Looking back, what did I do? Well, I took my eyes off of where I was going. And so looking back again, how could I do it differently? Well, if I'm going to walk barefoot and I'm going to walk unprotected, then I need to be paying attention where I'm walking towards. I know that's a really small, simple example, but you can do this in relationships, okay? Maybe you had an interaction, maybe you had a friendship that kind of fell apart. You can look back, you can see, how did that happen? How can it happen again? Maybe you had a temptation that you went through and you're like, how did it happen? How did I get myself into this? How do I not do that again? Maybe it's academically something that went poorly. Maybe you get to take that class again. I don't know. What did you do that led to the circumstance? What was the circumstance like? And now imagine that circumstance again. How will you be different? This is how experience teaches. Now, you can also ignore it and not get any better. We know that experience alone doesn't teach because we've all had teachers who've been in the profession 20 to 30 years and they're terrible teachers. Like they don't have classroom control. They don't know how to explain their subject well. They're not enjoyable to be around. So just experience alone isn't going to change your life, but you have an opportunity to change simply by reviewing, evaluating, and imagining doing it again. So that's the process. It's pretty simple, but if you don't do it, you don't learn. So I want to encourage you, just take some time as soon as this podcast is done. Think about an experience or two from this past year. What happened? How did you get into it? What were the consequences of it? And given that scenario again, how will you do it differently and better? And if you do that, you become a better person. You became a wise person through your experiences. And that's what I want for you. We'll review some more tomorrow. That's enough for today. Talk to you soon.